Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today I decided to give my testimony on how I came to know the Lord. Um, in 1991, I believe, I came up here to Washington, D.C. from Baltimore, Maryland. When I came up here from Baltimore, I were introduced to drugs, real heavy drugs, crack cocaine to be exact. I was just lost everything because of the drugs. Had a very good job working for a cable company in DC, and because of the drugs I lost my job. But even after losing my job, I still wasn't through with using drugs. I remember the first time when I was actually introduced to drugs. It was the powder cocaine, and I remember it was on a book, and they divided it into sections, so I could use a dollar bill to snort it. And I remember I didn't even ask, can I try that cocaine? But it was offered to me, and I was just a teenager. I think I was like 16. It was offered to me, cocaine in powder form. So when it was offered to me, being a teenager, I said okay. So they divided a little line for me, but there was like 3 or 4 other lines right beside the line they told me to snort from. So I took the dollar bill, rolled it up like I saw them do, and as I went to snort it, I actually breathed on the cocaine, and the cocaine went everywhere. It bush, all of it gone. All of it was gone. And I remember my brother being there, and the guys that was there wanted to fight me. They wanted to tear my head off. And I said to myself, I guess that wasn't meant for me to do. And so I got out of that situation alive. But it wasn't until I was 18 and I left Baltimore after graduating from high school that I came to Washington, D.C. and got hooked up with some wrong people and got introduced to PCP and crack cocaine. And these drugs, I did do right. I was taught how to do right. And of course I became addicted to it. And as I said earlier, I had a very nice job, very nice home, and I was also married. That was my first marriage. So, needless to say, that the drugs caused me to lose my home, lose my job, excuse me, and also my marriage was already on the rocks because my wife also at the time had a problem with drugs. So together we was going downhill. So we ended up breaking up, and I ended up being homeless. But that still wasn't enough. Even though I was homeless, I still had a drug problem. I still had a desire to use drugs. As a matter of fact, I remember when my job terminated me. They didn't want to do it. My boss did not want to do it. When he terminated me, it was like a burden lifted. I didn't have to hide anymore. I was in management also, which made it so really bad. I was in management, and they had to let me go due to my drug habit. I apologize for the coughing. But before they terminated me, I had been to 2 rehabs. The first time I went to a rehab, I went because my job told me I had to go in order to keep my job. And I went to the rehab. Um, didn't get much out of it, to be honest with you. I didn't get much out of it. And the reason was because my heart wasn't in it. I couldn't wait to do my 45 days so I could leave the rehab and do the program, the meetings, to satisfy my job. And once the heat was off of me, I turned back to my old ways. And, I was able to keep it from them for another couple years. So, I'm backtracking a little bit now before I was terminated. So, this went on for another couple years where I was able to hide it again from my job. And so, I just got worse and worse. My relationship with my family had deteriorated. As you can imagine, no one trusted me. But I didn't even care because I was making money. Being in the cable industry, I was making money on the side, and I was selling all my possessions. So I did what I needed to do to feed the habit. And so this went on for, like I said, another 2 years after the first rehab. But then my job found out again that I was using again. But what they didn't know, I was still using the whole time. But they had found out that I was using again in their mind. And so they sent me to a rehab for the second time. And I apologize. I'm out of time. But join me again for part 2 of Earl's testimony. Thank you.